Okay, this is the mighty 912 Rotax. The objective, simple, very simple objective today, to check the oil level. Simple as that. Step one is to make sure the switches are off, which they certainly are. Main master switch and the two magneto switches. Now we check the oil. Okay. This is how you check the oil on a Rotax 912. There's a dipstick. This is the fun part. And the oil is to about here somewhere. This is the range it's meant to be. Huh. Need to add some oil. Well, in fact, no you don't. I've already checked the switches. Switches are off. And then I pull the engine through 987 blades. Alright, maybe 20. At this stage we could even start it up, because we don't know whether, we know where the oil isn't, we don't actually know where the oil is. Yeah, it isn't in the tank, so it's most likely in the sump, or it's gone past one of the pistons and it's between the piston and the cylinder head. If you try and start it up like that, you're going to wind up making a really expensive mistake, because you're probably going to have to get the engine rebuilt. This way, I know it's not between the piston and the cylinder head because the engine rotates. A little bit of compression that goes past the piston rings compresses the sump and forces the oil to go back to the tank. There isn't a scavenge pump. Most aero engines have a scavenge pump that picks up the oil from wherever it is and puts it back in the tank. This doesn't. This relies on the little bit of compression passing the rings to do that, and it works a treat. Works really well. Now, the oil, it's been 2 days since I was flying, which is usually not quite enough to make the oil disappeared like this. It's only been happening the last few weeks since the last service, and we put a different sort of filter on, lubrication oil filter. Well, as it turns out, the filter has a non-return valve in it to prevent this, but obviously that isn't working very well, or isn't working as well as the previous Rotax oil filter. So instead of turning, 10 or 15 blades, I get to turn like 30 blades. no big deal. But in a minute you should hear a God Almighty burp like that, which says that all the oil out of the sump has now gone back to the tank, and it's followed by a little bit of that compression. And we'll take another look. Here's the dipstick again. And look at that. The oil level is up here above the normal operating range. Amazing. But that's how and why you check the oil on a Rotax 912. Now all of you will see this is the oil filter from aircraft spruce. It's not the oil filter's problem. There's a non-return valve inside the built into the oil filter, which obviously isn't working very well. But there you go, that's it. Just to follow up on that 912 video I've just finished, what happens if you can't pull the propeller through? What's the next thing that happens? Well, obviously, if you can't pull the propeller through, then obviously there's some oil has migrated in between into the combustion area, as a matter of fact. So step one is take off the cowling, if there's any cowling on that particular engine. Remove the lower spark plugs on each of the 4 cylinders, and then pull the propeller blades through. And what you'll find is that oil will come out of one or more of those of the spark plug holes where the spark plugs were removed. You do that, pull it quite a few blades through until oil stops coming out of there. Put the spark plugs back in, because the oil's not returning to the tank, because you're turning the blades through like I just showed on video. Without the spark plugs in, the oil's not returning to the tank. So you put the spark plugs back in, then rotate the engine, which will return the oil back to the tank, and then you can think about starting the engine up and being back to normal again. But that's it. It's no big deal. It's pretty simple, and those people that own 912s will tell you it's a simple thing. That's what they do every day. It's no big deal. It's not the end of the world. It's just annoying that I had to, after 2 days of sitting idle, I had to pull 40 odd blades through, which I think is excessive. And as a matter of fact, I think if I left it for a couple of weeks, now I know that would be sacrilege. You can't leave your airplane a couple of weeks and not fly it. That's a terrible thing to do. But if you did, I think I'd be taking the cowls off and taking the lower spark plugs out and blah, 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 like I just explained. So I don't want to do that. So I think at the earliest opportunity, I'll be putting a different oil filter on. I have 2 of those oil filters. I outsmarted myself and bought 2 of them when I bought that one. So maybe the other one, maybe the non-return valve in the other one works a bit better than the return valve in this one. But anyway, that's it. It's not overcomplicated, and yeah, good luck with your flying. Bye now.